We're back with Haiti. The struggle continues on 99.5 FM WBAI. We have with us in the studio someone who recently came from the zone of Ouanaminthe. He'll remain anonymous, but we'll call him John today for the purposes of our interview. John, good morning. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You recently came from the zone of Mari Barou. Can you explain to us the plain, the Mari Barou plain, what it looks like up there in the northeast corner of Haiti?
Yes, it's a very beautiful and rich plain. Many fruit trees and big plantations where peasants from the nearby town of Ouanaminthe plant their food, and which they eat from and also sell in the marketplaces.
Mm-hmm. And Ouanaminthe itself, this is a town which has gone through some changes in the past few years, isn't it?
Ouanaminthe has. It's a border town, and during the embargo under the coup d'etat, the population of the town nearly tripled, and that was because of the trade in gas that was coming across from the Dominican Republic. So many people went there to try and make a living during the embargo. Apparently the population was about 30,000 before the coup, and it's up to about 100,000 today. Mm-hmm. And although the embargo is no longer existing, people are still dealing in contraband from Dominican Republic, alcohol, stolen cars and motorcycles, cosmetics, cocaine, and stolen bags of donated rice and flour and sugar.
Mm-hmm. So you spoke to some of the people in the area about the impending free trade zone. What was their reaction? What did peasants on the Mari Barou plain think about this project?
I did. I spoke with many people out there in the area where the zone is planned, and the elders in the area were quite wary of it. However, they felt that by not they felt that standing up against the government, fighting against the government, would only provoke the government to take the land away from them. Mm-hmm. Younger people in the area felt that they would fight and risk losing their land without reimbursement. Mm-hmm. Elders seemed to think that perhaps it would bring development and jobs in the area, and younger people who have a bit more knowledge of the impact of free trade zones were very weary of it.
So has construction actually started in the area on the factories?
No construction has started, but a fairly big portion of the land was damaged during the groundbreaking ceremony that took place in April, where a big pavilion was apparently built and a helicopter landed and a large motorcade of, I believe, senators and deputies arrived and just drove through people's fields to get to where the groundbreaking ceremony was held.
And is there any indication of how products will move from the free trade zone to the Dominican Republic? Is it through the town of Ouanaminthe, or how will that work?
No, it's interesting. The area is called Pito Bay, and it's a few kilometers west of Ouanaminthe. And what they apparently are planning to do is build a private road that will cross the Rivière Massac into the free trade zone, Massac River, into the free trade zone, thereby circumventing Ouanaminthe entirely. And I suppose that they will set up a border crossing and tax control place specifically for the free trade zone there.
Did anybody give you any idea of the reason why Dominicans might be wanting to build a free trade zone in Haiti?
They did, and it was very interesting. People there don't know very much in terms of information that the government has given them, but a number of them have done a lot of research on their own with people in the Dominican Republic, and they'd spoken with some economists in Group M, which is part of the Dominican corporation that's developing this, and they were given some interesting information. According to them, there are about 1,500 workers that will initially be employed at the factory, and up to about 8,000 to 10,000 people over the next 25 years. But, according to them, 65% of those sewers will be Dominicans, and leaving only 35% Haitian. And apparently within the makeup of the administration, only about 2% of administrators will be Haitian. So it's predominantly a Dominican project employing Dominicans.
And is there a question of quotas as well, isn't there?
Exactly. Group M is... it has big factories in the Dominican Republic, I think namely in Santiago, and apparently they have reached their quota. They can no longer export any more apparel than they are currently
to the United States.
To the United States. There's a cap on how much they can send each year. So by going to Haiti, they can stamp what they produce as being made in Haiti, and therefore they are not they're not withheld because of their own quota. They're using Haiti's quota.
Mm-hmm.
But the things will be made, stamped in Haiti, and they'll be driven across the border and sent with everything else from the Dominican Republic to the U.S.
There are a number of human rights and popular organizations in the area, both on the Dominican side in Dajabon and in Ouanaminthe, working around this issue of the free trade zone. Solidarité Frontière is one that comes to mind. Did you speak with any of these groups and find out their resistance strategies?
I spoke with some members of a few of these groups, and they have organized a few demonstrations. But one thing that they all asked for was to share with them whatever information we can find about the impact of free trade zones in other countries. And they want very much to use those materials to educate themselves and also to educate people in the area. Because, as I mentioned, many people who don't have land there and aren't at risk of losing that are very much, in a way, naive to what a free trade zone is, and they think it will give jobs to them or their children. They think it'll develop the area.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if any of our other members have any questions, but I think we'll move on to the next segment, which will be our roundtable discussion after this. And we're going to go.
Hazel Goodman is back with Hazel on Edge, coming to the Soho Playhouse Sunday, July 14th, Monday, July 15th, curtain time, 7 o'clock.
Listen, Sylvia, of course I know black men and Latino men. What, you want a black man now? They're popular nowadays. Is that why you're wearing those braids? Next you'll be moving to Harlem.
Hazel creates a city of characters.
You see me? I ain't want no ugly man. But ugly Cyril doing things to me I can't repeat. He had me bawling for more. But I ain't want nobody to see me with he in the daytime, you know. But at night, oh gosh, Cyril, don't stop. Don't stop.
Hazel on Edge, 2 WBAI nights, Sunday, July 14th, Monday, July 15th, at 15 Van Dam Street, curtain time, 7 o'clock. For ticket information, call 212-255-4834. Did you miss that? 212-255-4834. Say you want to see Hazel on Edge.
You are listening to Pacifica Radio, WBAI 99.5 FM in New York City.
Haiti, the struggle continues. Through this program, we are hoping to demonstrate the need for this kind of coverage of issues that we feel are relevant to the entire WBAI community. We are also hoping to secure a regular programming slot, so we encourage our listeners to call in to the station to support this initiative. Our segment today, which is the second part of a third-part special, will focus on the plan by the Haitian-Dominican government to establish the free trade zone at the border of the two countries. But on Saturday, from 3 to 5 p.m., we will look into the drama of Haitian immigration into the U.S., from boat people to detainees in INS jails to becoming undocumented workers in the U.S. sweatshop economy. On Saturday, we will also take a broader look into the globalization agenda for Haiti: privatization, currency devaluation, the destruction of local industry and traditional agriculture, so-called free trade policies, and sweatshop. Also, we are trying to bring these issues that are affecting Haiti, but remember, Haiti is not unique in its struggles. These issues are part of the U.S. Foreign policy for other countries. So other countries such as Venezuela, Nicaragua, and other places around the world. So stay tuned. We are now going into our round table of discussion. We have a very lively group, so it's going to be very interesting.
And we also have John on hand, too, to add in anything. Why don't we let Daniel Simidor start, since he always has the most provocative things to say.
Well, thank you, Kim. But I'm thinking that, this from just hearing what John had to say, this whole free trade zone situation, it's a scandal. And again, coming from Aristide, it's very, very sad. Baby Doc, when he was president in the 1970s, made the development of free trade zones the cornerstone of his economic policy. For a good 10 years before his downfall, the light assembly industry created a buzz and an illusion of employment and growth in the Haitian economy. Scores of light assembly factories opened up in the industrial park in Port-au-Prince, employing thousands of workers in union-free shops at the incredible low wage of 60 cents a day, which was guaranteed by the government. We know how they guaranteed that. And Baby Doc received high praise from USAID, the Carter and Reagan government, the World Bank and the IMF for his stable regime and his growth-oriented policies. And of course, we all know that there was no real growth involved and that all Haiti got in the bargain was the starvation wages paid to its workers. But today, the Haitian economy is in worse shape than it was 20 years ago. And Aristide's free trade zone agreement with the Dominican Republic is much worse than the deal Baby Doc cut with the U.S. biz community in the 1970s. We still don't know everything that's involved in this deal because many of its clauses are still kept secret, but we already know of its impact on agriculture in terms of the expropriation of peasants and the misuse of the area's scarce resources in irrigated soil. And the Dominican-Haitian Free Trade Agreement is also a disaster because the Haitian government is apparently, I say apparently because this is, I don't have any hard fact in front of me, but is apparently conceding 5 kilometers of Haitian territory alongside the border as a no man's land under Dominican control to stem the flow of Haitian workers looking for work in the Dominican economy. So this is very serious stuff at a time when we're getting ready to celebrate Haiti's bicentennial in terms of its independence. We are at a risk of Haiti becoming a subcolony of the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, at the same time, when you look at the theme of nationality from this, looking at this crisis, you start to wonder exactly, where do national interests lie in terms of looking at the different groups of people who are situated in this crisis. I mean, you can understand that the Dominican investor who is benefiting from this has a lot at stake at being Dominican because the Dominican investors are the chief sector, along with all their export affiliates, who are going to be benefiting from this kind of process. But on the other side, for a Haitian laborer, does it really make a difference if all you're going to be making is less than $1.50 a day? Who is really going to be exploiting you at such horrible rates? So I think it's one of the issues that workers are learning to deal with, is that in terms of nationality, our struggle has to be international, because our interests are really the same. Also, when you look at how this whole issue of free trade has been framed, although we're trying to look at this with an objective viewpoint, we are not at all trying to be impartial here, because the other side, when they look at this whole phenomenon, they advertise for this. If you look at the Haitian Chamber of Commerce or the USAID, they have those brochures they put out, and they say that, hey, we're going to set up a free trade zone with cheap labor. And that's a real good thing for us. But from the standpoint of working people, what does cheap labor mean? Cheap labor means poor workers. It also means on the other side, rich corporations, rich investors, rich capitalists. But there is a two-sided edge to this. And we need to keep sight that, while this is being promoted, there are reasons why it's being promoted, because it is definitely in the interest of some, while not being in the interest of the majority of Haitians.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've seen runaway shops from the U.S. for years, of course. The entire textile industry of the South has practically moved south of the border, and now we're seeing, in fact, runaway industries in the South, from one southern country to another, because you look at, for instance, the Dominican Republic, Grupo M, they pay their workers, their sewing machine operators, roughly $13 a day in Dominican Republic, which is well above the $7 minimum wage in Dominican Republic. But in Haiti, the minimum wage is $1.30. Even if they pay double the minimum wage in Haiti, they're still saving $10 per worker per day. So you can see this.
Also, we've seen the examples around the globe in Latin America where the people get poorer and poorer. It doesn't really help. And in Haiti itself, we've had free trade zones before. If we remember back in when baseballs were made in Haiti, were manufactured there. And they still are. And the people are not benefited at all, but the big industry here are benefiting when they sell these balls here, and they sell them for a lot of money, and the people, that money is not going back to the people. But I'd like to ask John, in terms of, you mentioned the benefit will be more on the Dominican side as for the Haitians. Can you tell us how they plan to pay the workers? I understand they're going to pay the Dominican according to the amount paid in their country. Can you comment on that?
I do not know that. I know that they're planning to pay at least Haitian workers 36 gourds a day, which is about $1.30, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum. And that's the Haitian minimum wage. And that's apparently for a 12-hour day. But as we see in free trade zones in many places, they frequently work much longer than that, and you're not necessarily paid by hour.
One other thing which I think is really interesting to note, here, the Maribaru Plain, the most fertile plain in the Northeast, and one of the reasons the Northeast has no farmland is because it has been the victim of a previous multinational hit and run. During the 20th century, there was a huge sisal plantation in the Northeast near Fort Liberté called the Plantation Dauphin. Now, sisal totally sucks out all the nutrients out of the ground. So you have vast tracts of what was once the most fertile plain of all Haiti, which was what really all the colonists built their sugar mills on. And this plain is totally barren. If you're going to build a free trade zone, it would be on barren land, not on the fertile zone.
Kim, obviously the government is not interested in making the country productive, which is the way to get people out of poverty. And they should be using this land to produce, to plant, to come in with new farming techniques to instead of exporting, to export goods out of the country instead of importing food from around.
Absolutely. But I think Kim's point is very important. One would argue perhaps that you have to do both. You have to use whatever farmland is available and rich, and land that isn't agriculturally rich you can use for development projects if you institute, through the Ministry of Labor, a proper minimum wage. And why don't they put this free trade zone in a place that's only a few miles away where it's not possible to farm on?
It's also interesting to note that, why are agencies like the USAID promoting plans like this? Because when you look at the whole food chain of exploitation here, you have to realize that the majority of the profit being generated from the exploitation of workers in countries like Haiti and the Dominican Republic, where the workers are paid, less than subsistence wages, the majority of the profit is actually ending up, overseas. And I'll just give a quick little example. Back in 1998, when Disney was running factories in Haiti, where they had subcontractors producing Disney garments, workers there were being paid 1/4 to 2% of the retail price of the garments they were sewing. So when they took workers, they were paid like 6 cents to make Dalmatian outfits that would sell like for $20 here. So an assembly line of 40 workers altogether, they would get paid $110 for producing garments that sold in the U.S. for about $29,000. Now, on that production line, the maquila operator, the local maquila operator, even if he makes a profit of 25 to 30%, which is generally about the average, you have to realize that the way the lion's share of the profit is ending up, in the industrialized world and the industrialized side, which is why it's very important for workers here in the U.S. to link up in their struggles with workers in dominated countries. Because why is that happening? The cheap wages in places like Haiti and the Dominican Republic are being used to depress the wage scale here in the U.S.
Yes, on a different note, and to go back to something Christian said earlier about the internationalization of labor. This is just for our Dominican listeners. I want to send out this message that we're not bashing the Dominican Republic here. We're not certainly bashing the Dominican people. And the Haitian people need your solidarity actively to correct a situation that's very unjust and very unhealthy for both countries. And, so for the progressive Dominican community, it's like an appeal and a prayer on my part that people don't fall prey to the cheap jingo nationalism that the Dominican ruling class waves or, uses every time that the Haitian-Dominican question comes to the table.
Yeah, and I would just add on a delegation that the Haiti Support Network took to Dominican Republic last April. We were really impressed with the powerful solidarity of the Dominican progressive movement, and it's really a vanguard role in fighting against a lot of these outrages.
I think we have a few announcements we want to make at some point.
Stop worker repression in Haiti.
Free the jailed workers.
Stop worker repression in Haiti.
Free the jailed workers.
Stop worker repression in Haiti.
Free the jailed workers.
Stop worker repression in Haiti.
Free the jailed workers.
Stop worker repression in Haiti.
Free the jailed workers.
Stop worker repression in Haiti.
Libertad para los presos.
Our program yesterday focused on the struggle of the Guasimal workers. Workers and trade union organizers in the area have been arrested, have been molested, are in jail now, illegally denied medical care every Thursday until they are released and clear of any charge. Not that any charge has been brought against them because they're just sitting in jail. Every Thursday there will be a picket line in front of the Haitian consulate, which is on Madison off 39th Street.
271 Madison.
271 Madison. There is also a picket line in front of the Quencho headquarters in Manhattan. The Quencho headquarters, Christian, is where?
The Quinto headquarters are on 6th Avenue, 1356th Avenue at 55th Street.
And that picket line is every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. People can get in touch with
the Global Sweatshop Coalition at 212-947-7744. We're also joining forces with Colombian unionists who are protesting the murders of unionists in Colombia. So our pickets are now split pickets, where half the time we're going to be in front of Cointreau and half the time we're going to be in front of Coca-Cola on 5th Avenue and 55th Street.
So people have their Thursday and Friday afternoons mapped out a couple of weeks here.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do like what you're hearing, please give the station a call. And we also would like to thank the management of WBAI for giving us this opportunity, time to share information with you.
We want to thank Earl Maitland also for his great work in the studio here. Unbelievable. And we want to invite our listeners to join us again next Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m., where we'll have the final segment, the concluding segment on this
Haiti special.
Haiti special, Haiti, the struggle continues.